and welcome to my new guitar nerdery video. Today I'd like to refer to former videos of mine about Meola strumming number 20 and number 29. Please make sure you have seen those videos to understand fully what I'm gonna show today. In this video I'm gonna show you the kind of voicings I like to use in combination with the Meola technique. And besides that, I'm gonna show you how you can pep up your strumming to play more dynamically. The type of voicings I'd like to show you today, I have learned some 25 years ago when I had jazz guitar lessons from a great German jazz guitar player, Andreas Wahl. And some years later, when I studied music at the Institute for the Arts in Arnhem in the Netherlands, I had to use them all along. I consider myself a rock musician, and a jazz guitar study couldn't really convert me. But all that stuff that I've learned is of such great value. I adapt it to everything I do, even to metal. Now let's start with that voicing, that jazz voicing. An A minor 7. What's so special about that voicing? A very common way of playing an A minor 7 is this voicing. Or a variation of that. So what's the difference? The difference is, in that voicing, you have less notes. Compared to that voicing, we have a fifth here on the A string, and we get rid of that in this voicing. Instead, we damp the A string. In this voicing, you have each note only one time. The root, the minor 7, the minor 3rd, and the perfect 5th. Sound-wise, the difference between this and this voicing lies mainly in the bass. Here you have the root and a great distance to the next note, the minor 7. That's the main difference between those two voicings. So what's the point? The guitar sounds actually very low in the register, and in the bass it tends easily to mud up. And when you get rid of that 5th, that's not really important for the character of the chord, you get a more transparent voicing. In this voicing, the bass note has a greater distance to the next note. Here you really have a bass and a chord above it. Compared. And that is why I like those voicings very much, even with heavy distorted guitars. They are much more transparent. I remember that that kind of voicing has a special name, but I forgot it. And I tried to look it up on Google, but I couldn't find it. If one of you knows how it's called, please let me know. The first time when I had to learn that voicing, I fretted it like this. But very soon I got over into this fretting. Spares 2 fingers you can use for other notes. now I'm going to show you how you can use that voicing type and play all basic tetrets. I'm going to start with the full diminished chord, an A full diminished. It goes like this. I bar the index finger here and play two notes on the D string and on the B string. Here the F sharp and here the E flat. The next in line, we raise one note. The flat 7th goes to the minor 7. The F sharp goes to G, or the G flat goes to G. And you get an A minor 7 flat 5. Or A minor half diminished. On top is the flat 5th, and when we raise it, we get the A minor 7. Here on the G string, we have the minor 3rd, C. When we raise it to C sharp, you get an A7. When we raise the minor 7th, G, to G sharp, we get an A major 7. And finally, a very strange one, when we raise again the 5th to the sharp 5, we get an A major 7 sharp 5. You can use that chord in the harmonic minor or in the melodic minor system. If you are absolutely new to that kind of voicings, I recommend to start with the A minor 7. In the future nearby, I will make a video where I go much more into depth with those kind of voicings. But let's stick to the A minor 7 today for showing you some exercises for the right hand. I want you to think about playing strumming guitar more dynamically. How can you achieve that? In my video number 29, the El de Meola strumming pattern, I showed you an example how he does it, and that's very often instead of playing alternate strumming, he chooses different strumming pattern. But this time I'd like to stick to alternate strumming and show you how you can play that more dynamically. Very often I hear guitar players strumming like this. Hitting all strings all the time. But it can actually sound better when you don't do that. Dynamic in strumming guitar is not only the difference between quiet and loud, but also between low and high. You can split a chord in two frequency parts, a low part and a high part. I mean this is low and you have high. And when you alternate between those two parts, you get also a kind of dynamic. That would be my first right hand exercise for you, to try not to hit all the strings all the time, but to alternate between the low and the high part. And you can do it on the 4 beats. Low, high, low, high. And when that starts to feel good, you can go one step further and try to fade from low to high, like this. sounds a little bit like a wah-wah when you push the pedal. And to get one more groove component, one more variation into your strumming, integrate also a backbeat. That's cool. The 2 and the 4, like what the snare of the drum does. When that starts to feel good, you are ready to add some rests or accents on the upbeats or whatever, like this. That is so much fun to do, also with a metronome. My main intention today is to make you think differently about strumming guitar. It's not only campfire guitaring. You can do a lot with it. It makes a lot of fun and you can make it groove like hell. And these were only a few examples what you can do, and I covered a few other things in other videos of mine, so I recommend to watch them back. Strumming guitar will be continued next week, where I'm gonna show you some exercises how you can practice those fast fills I showed in my demonstrations and that are very inspired by Meola. This was it for today. I hope you have fun with practicing, and I'm looking forward to see you next week. And please like and subscribe.